U.S. President Donald Trump has acknowledged that he had a tense phone call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over the fighting in Lebanon. Again, in that interview on the American podcast Podforce One, he said that I was a little bit perturbed at his constantly fighting with Lebanon. At some point, I said, Bibi, we've got to stop this. We've got to stop it. For more, I'm joined by Yariv Oppenheimer. He is the former general director of Peace Now and a member of the Democrats, the Social Democratic Party in Israel, and he's joining us now from Tel Aviv. Yariv, thank you very much for being with us. I want to ask you about those comments from the president on Lebanon, saying that he was perturbed by Israel's constant fighting in Lebanon. Is this operation in southern Lebanon important enough to Benjamin Netanyahu to risk the ire of the United States, to risk more strain on that relationship?
I'm not so sure it's a zero-sum game. Definitely, if Trump will order Netanyahu not to attack Beirut and to hold the ceasefire, so Netanyahu will obey. And we saw an example for that just a few days ago. Having said that, if the demand of Trump will be for Netanyahu to withdraw from South Lebanon, from the villages and the South Lebanon area to the international border, then it will be much more difficult for Netanyahu to accept that, as long as there is no real achievement disarming Hezbollah. We have also to keep in mind that we are now in the middle, actually, of a campaign. It's almost election time in Israel, and for Netanyahu to withdraw to the international border without an agreement with Lebanon, without a guarantee that Hezbollah will be dismantled, it will be, I will say, impossible even for Donald Trump to force him to do that. But to hold on the forces and to keep some kind of a ceasefire, this is something that Netanyahu is able to deliver, and therefore I think this is the demand of Trump for right now.
I mean, we've had a number of military experts and military analysts on this program and on Al Jazeera who have all said that the idea of disarming and dismantling Hezbollah in a campaign like this one is impossible. How likely then is it that Benjamin Netanyahu could finish this before election time?
There is no chance. In order to dismantle Hezbollah, I doubt it if it's possible. But if there is an attempt to do it, it's a full-scale war. And with troops getting into the Israeli troops going back to Beirut like happens during the 80s. So I don't think it's a realistic scenario. I don't think the Israel is going to do so. We're talking about airstrikes and things like that. You cannot dismantle Hezbollah by airstrike. Israel hardly dismantle Hamas for in Gaza. And it's much easier than Lebanon. Therefore, the option of get rid of Hezbollah is not on the table. There is an alternative to the current situation, and this is an agreement between Lebanon and Israel. Having said that, I doubt it if the Lebanese government can guarantee the dismantle of Hezbollah. I doubt it if the Lebanese government can even deliver some kind of a victory picture for Netanyahu for his campaign. And therefore, I don't believe that Netanyahu will have any interest to pull out from Lebanon. And I afraid to say it, but this is what I think we should expect, that the current situation that is very bad for the Lebanese people, it's also bad for Israel. This is what we are going to see in the next few weeks and months.
Is peace not as good of a sell for an election as war? I mean, having peace along that border, our reporter Obeida Hito was telling us that the people in southern Lebanon are pinning their hopes on these talks in Washington because they want the fighting to stop. I'm sure that there are people in northern Israel who feel the same, who don't love living under the threat of Hezbollah rockets all the time. Would peace not also be a good sell in an election?
I will vote for peace, but most of the Israelis will not. Not because they don't want to see peace, because they don't believe that this will deliver peace and security. After October 7, the right wing in Israel, including Netanyahu and the government, spoke about the lesson from this attack. And the lesson is not that we need to solve the conflict. The lesson is that we need to be stronger. We need to hit before we are hit by the other side. Therefore, I'm saying sadly, but this is the situation. Among the Israelis, there is almost a consensus that you need to fight Hezbollah, and the government of Lebanon will not be able to deliver security to the people living in the north. So they don't believe that peace and security is going together and possible. If Trump will force Netanyahu to sign an agreement that will force him to move out from Lebanon, it will be a surprise for me. It will not be popular in Israel, and therefore I don't think that Netanyahu will be ready to do it before the election.
So then,
if there will be an agreement, yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say then to that point, then is there no optimism in Israel about these talks that are happening in Washington? Because surely there will not be a ceasefire if either side keeps firing. That is the definition of a ceasefire, which is not what we have now. So what is the sentiment about these talks in Washington and Israel right now?
Actually, ceasefire is more complex than that, because if the Israeli army is still in South Lebanon, destroying villages of Lebanese people, so it's kind of a violation of the ceasefire, because ceasefire eventually you would like to see the Israeli army going out of Lebanon. Right. And for Hezbollah, there is an excuse to attack the Israeli army because it's still there. There is a lot of skepticism in Israel about these talks, because there is not a real belief that the Lebanese government has the ability to dismantle Hezbollah, what Israel didn't succeed to do in 20 years. Therefore, there is a feeling that you are talking with the irrelevant partner in the other side. The Lebanese government has a lot of sympathy among Israelis, but most of the Israelis and the politicians do not believe that the Lebanese government can deliver security and dismantle of Hezbollah as an Iranian proxy on the border.
Yariv Oppenheimer, our thanks to you for joining us here on Al Jazeera from Tel Aviv. We appreciate it.
Thank you.